This video is going to be a film study look at Tony Jefferson, a 32-year-old safety who just made the Chargers roster, sat out 2023, didn't play football, I should say, worked in the Ravens organization. He previously played in the NFL with Arizona and the Ravens. Him making the roster at age 32 is a fun story. I knew as soon as it was announced that I was going to do a video on it. Number one, he was always a fun player to watch with the Ravens and Arizona, and even prior to that with Oklahoma in college. Number two, he always was aggressive and playing downhill and playing hard and making plays. I mean, he doesn't have maybe the interceptions to show up to prove it, since I think he had 2 interceptions when he was like 23 or 24 years old. Maybe he had one more with the Ravens. But he always seems to be a guy who's around the ball. And when he's around the ball, good things happen. And I don't know how to explain that, what the karma is there. Additional to that, when I decided to do a film study video on him, it was because Tuesday is not a fun day. Roster cut down, in my opinion, is no fun to see some of these young, promising players be released, cut, whatever the situation may be, and really have no idea maybe where they're going to go next, or if they're going to be brought back on a practice squad situation or whatever. So I wish the NFL would expand the rosters, but we get very few stories like this one. And so I knew once he played well against the Cowboys that I was going to do the video. I was just waiting to see if he made the roster or not, and he did. So let's take a look at some of the film. And you really don't need me to break down a whole lot of it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's going to speak for itself. He's generally playing boundary side safety. Number one, he's very decisive. He's trusting his read and his key immediately. You'll see he's playing at a different speed than some of these 24 and 25-year-old guys that are on the field with him. He is definitely trusting the fit and where he's supposed to be. And I think he has a great understanding on some of these pass coverages about where the quarterback's going to go with the football in relation to the blitz or the stunt, and the coverage that they're playing. And this is one of the examples. Now, this is a 25-yard catch to the receiver on the downside of the field, and I'll show this one multiple times. It's a strong arm throw by Trey Lance. Don't get me wrong. I know he threw 5 interceptions. It felt like he threw all of them to Tony Jefferson. But what I want you to do is try to watch his eyes. When he's on the quarterback, he has already glanced over here at the receiver to see what kind of release you got. Let's say you got a drag release. Well, then there's no work for you over here. He's got to find work somewhere. In this case, he's getting a vertical release by one. And as soon as he sees the quarterback turn in that direction and start to dip his shoulder at all, Jefferson is already on it. Look, the ball hasn't even been thrown yet. And Jefferson's already turned and looking at the route. I almost thought, when I saw this play initially, with how quickly he was on it, I thought, is he going to pick this ball off? Because I didn't watch the game live. I didn't know which passes he intercepted. I just knew it was 2 of them. So maybe you could say, hey, with the quick recognition, shouldn't he be there? It's tough to get to this throw against a cover 2, and especially there's not much of a redirect here, if you ask me, by the corner, who is also not sinking at all to try to give make Trey Lance's trajectory on that throw a little higher. So the recognition is what I'm hinting at, even though Tony Jefferson didn't get there on that particular play. The rest of the time, his recognition and his trust in his read puts him at the point of attack so quickly. I think he's probably the last safety, to make the roster. He's also spinning down here. They're bringing a nickel blitz. He's spinning down, ends up being a 3 deep, 3 under. The Chargers are rolling this safety to the middle of the field. He doesn't really get there. He's a little bit maybe slow or delayed in getting out there, but he's looking for work from the other side of the field. Ends up being an incompletion on a 3rd and 12. I'm just showing you this play because it's illustrative of how many different techniques they played with Tony Jefferson and other backups on the field. Brilliantly timed, walking up to the line of scrimmage to blitz here. Probably my favorite defense against 2-back, 1 tight end formations, personnel groupings, 21 personnel. They walk him up late, bring him off the edge. He defeats the block of the running back, gets a sack, 14 tackles, 2 interceptions, a sack, a forced fumble that you'll see in a moment. I can't remember a better preseason game as far as statistical output by anyone. A 32-year-old safety who walks around the field, plays 2 high safety. I've already shown you that. Spins down some to play at the second level, now being used as a blitzer off the edge, overwhelming the running back, driving him back into the quarterback. Brilliant stuff. As an aside, when I say it's my favorite defense against 21 personnel groupings, it's under front, nose tackle, 5 technique, type 5 technique. Got your Sam, 9 technique linebacker over here. He's going to drop out on the play. 3 technique D tackle to the backside away from the tight end. And then your wider 5 technique over here. When I say wider 5 technique, I'm talking about comparing this 5 technique to this 5 technique, who would naturally stand to get double teamed a lot more often since you have the tight end with a great angle on him. And here there is no tight end as a 3-man surface. And then you walk up strong safety to the weak side. That's my favorite defense against 21 personnel formations, to basically take away some of the foundational stuff they like to do. Low pad level by Jefferson here, driving off the inside foot. You can see the pad level differential, taking this guy back into the quarterback, completely overwhelming him and getting a sack. Great to see that he made the roster. Again, you really probably don't need me to break down much of this film. This is an instance of him being up on the line where, A, I think he's on his responsibility, and B, the Chargers just caught by, a nice scheme from the Cowboys. I think you're trying to evade here and kind of opening up a gap as a defensive tackle. This inside linebacker is going with the tight end. Jefferson is on the quarterback for the keep, so the Chargers had the right call here for what the scheme was. If Trey Lance is reading this defensive end, then he's going to keep it. I don't think Trey Lance is. I think he's reading this right here. And so it's a give. Ends up being a 15-yard gain. Most people like the end zone angle for run concepts. You guys have to let me know if you do or not. If you're a Chargers fan watching this, your first time watching my video, let me know what you think in the comment section. Here's his first interception, committed to the read. He communicated something right before the snap. Just absolutely committed to what he sees happening. Look where his eyes are. His eyes are here immediately. He's not worried about the quarterback at all. He saw something in the formation. He saw something in the just before the snap that he knew where the play was. It's sprint out by Trey Lance. He's already on it. He's already gone. So people would say, well, he's just guessing. I don't know if he's guessing or not. He knows something. Clearly knows something. He knows it's 3rd and 2, first of all. And you're getting out by 2, and he just shows up. Ridiculous play. End zone angle, same play. You kind of get him a little bit, but you're gonna lose him here in a moment off screen. You're not gonna see his helmet. I always like to show the end zone, especially for quarterbacks, but I always like to show the end zone when I can for a defensive player so you can see his helmet and what he's looking at. I wish we could expand it a little bit here. I do have a frame on my screen here, but he's off screen anyway. He wouldn't, even if I removed the frame, you still wouldn't see his helmet. But you just have to trust me. He's completely selling out. He sees it, and yeah, you do have a receiver open here over the top. It's 3rd and 3 though, so he knows the sticks. He knows the deal, and he took advantage of the young man who threw 5 picks on the day. Beautiful play. I'm a defensive guy. I appreciate defense, and this was fun to watch, particularly because we as Ravens fans have some knowledge about Tony Jefferson and his story and where he came from and how well he played at times in Baltimore, even though in 2019 he was pretty much replaced after 4 or 5 games. Forced fumble here. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Forced fumble's next. This is another one where he's just committed to the angle. So you're going to get basically a little slip screen or bubble screen by the number 3, and Jefferson's here and just committed to his angle, running inside out. Because he knows where his help is. It ends up kind of looking like a little bit like the letter J, maybe, which is what it should when you're running as a free safety, inside out. So it ends up looking like this. Maybe the top of the letter C would be a better way to put it. Because he's got outside leverage help. These guys here fighting for outside leverage. One of them won, one of them lost. And Jefferson's able to fill from the inside, hold him to a 3-yard gain on a 1st and 10. I mean, is he going to be able to do this in a regular season? Is he going to get on the field in a regular season? I don't know, but man, it's a beautiful story at this point in time. I appreciate it. I'm an old man myself, way older than 32. Never been able to do anything like this, obviously. He gets called for a face mask on this one. Briefly touches, I think that's a Deuce Vaughn, 18-yard run, 19-yard run. Briefly touches his face mask. What I want to talk about is the range. Regardless of who you're playing against, it's an NFL NFL players, NFL running back, they're both on the hash right now. So again, we're talking about being inside out to the football. If he doesn't make this tackle, Vaughn is, potentially springing up the left sideline. At 50, he's got to make the play. So I just think the range that he showed, the commitment to his reads, the stickiness when the ball got around him to be able to catch it. This is the forced fumble. He's the boundary side safety again. I think he's looking to cut 3 on something over the middle. The safety theoretically could help handle a vertical by 3. I think that's why he's got so much depth. Additional to that, these two guys up here look to be in a match relationship with 1 and 2. So it's not like the safety's got to handle this here. Jefferson is looking to cut that. And instead, number 3 takes it vertical. And I think Jefferson forces the fumble with his left hand. Finley, who's going to play a little bit more than him, I think by design, is also there. But that initial hit didn't jar the football loose. If I don't believe. In any case, I think Jefferson got credit for the fumble. He certainly is happy about it running across the field. It's like everything he touched just turned to gold that day against the Cowboys. Finally, his last interception. He's not lined up at the nickel. Pre-snap, he's communicating something, and then the routes don't work out exactly the way that the Chargers or him thought they would. Nonetheless, he's able to sit in the window and then get the pick. Trey Lance thinks that, I think he just doesn't see him. I think he doesn't see that there's another defender past this collection of bodies right here. So when he's trying to get the ball to this receiver up here, back near the back of the end zone, he doesn't know that Tony Jefferson is sitting back there waiting to hawk to the football. And another brilliant catch. Tries to bring it out of the end zone. You know what he was thinking. That would have been the capper. You're able to take that all the way back to the house, or even more than just like a 6 or 8 yard return. Beautiful football played on the defensive side by him. How many more times does he get to do something like this? I don't know. Was he, super motivated in that moment, week 3 of the preseason, unsure if he's going to make the team, possibly get cut for the final time? He's been with the Harbaughs for years. First in Baltimore, now in LA with the Chargers. Really cool story, man. I just wanted to try to do some justice to it. You guys probably didn't need me to discuss or describe the plays at all. Hopefully I didn't detract from it, seriously, because what he did against the Cowboys in week 3 was damn near historic for a preseason game. If you were a 22-year-old safety and you did that in a preseason game, you're making the roster, right? And you're not only making the roster, but you made a name for yourself. Well, he happens to be 32, and he didn't play in the NFL in 2023. Also didn't play in 2020. I don't know the circumstances of that. But point being, this is a guy who put in a damn near legendary or historic performance to try to make a roster. Let me know in the comment section if you're aware of, I'm sure you are as a football fan, what other guys have made the roster based upon an unbelievable performance in the last game of the preseason. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe his spot on the roster was already kind of, half of his name was written down, or it was written in lightly, and they could erase it, or they could just darken over it with a darker pen. My point is, I suspect that this performance saved his career, or saved the opportunity for him to extend his career, which is a pretty cool story if you ask me. I have no idea what he was thinking. Haven't heard an interview at all. I hope someone out there does an interview and talks to him about the performance and how it relates to him making the roster, so we can hear something from him. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you think other Chargers fans or other football fans in general would enjoy this film study look at Tony Jefferson and how he made a last-ditch effort to make the roster in LA, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.